You are now listening to the Artist King Podcast.
Welcome to the Artist King Podcast, episode 21. I am your host, DTM. LibertyWhite is a busy entrepreneur on a roll of projects that includes tech, film, entertainment, and web industries. Liberty's chosen awards inspires, impacts, and honors the unsung heroes who make Atlanta a world-class city. Route TV celebrates diversity, cultural awareness, and the economic development of our viewers and the communities where they live. And the upcoming ATL Web Fest is an interactive web series festival that connects the creative, business, and tech communities. Liberty's hands are full, and she takes a moment to share with the Artist King a bit of the story that brought her to ATL and what motivates her drive to becoming an ATL Powerhouse. Follow LibertyWhite on social media and come out October 24th to the 26th at Georgia Tech. Visit atlwebfest.com for more info and registration. Also, don't forget to join us this Tuesday, October 21st, for Artist King 2014, Art Business Discussion Panel Part 6, Art in the Communities. The moderator is Jessica Holland of C4Atlanta.org, and the panelists include Gregory Burbridge, Alex Acosta, Kyle Kessler, and Alex Davis. Admission is free, doors open at 6:30 p.m., and the panel discussion begins promptly at 7 p.m. It's all going down at C4 Atlanta, 115 MLK Jr. Drive, Atlanta, Georgia. Artist King is sponsored by the law offices of Deborah Gonzalez, Atlanta Tech Village, C4 Atlanta, Wonder Root, Burn Away, Revolscape.com, and Velocity Screenprint. Please visit artistking.org for a complete listing of the Artist King 2014 panel discussions and venues involved, along with web links to each of the panelists. Now on to our interview. Please tell our listeners your name and where you're from.
All right, I am LibertyWhite, co-founder of ATL Webfest and founder of Root TV, and I am from Toronto, Canada. Toronto, Ontario, Canada. That's what we like to say because, Ontario is a province, which is equivalent to a state, but that's just a little geography lesson for the listeners already.
What languages do they speak in Toronto?
Oh, nous parlons français. Parlons français. Je parle français. Oui.
In English? Or just French?
No, we speak English. French is the second language, one of the languages of Canada, so English and French. So yes, I grew up learning French. I really wish I took it more seriously now that I'm in another country and I could probably get paid a lot more for speaking.
Is that right?
French.
Wow. And what did you say right now in French?
I said we speak French in Canada.
French.
So nous parlons français et je m'appelle Liberty et maintenant nous écoutons le podcast The Artist King.
All right.
Oui.
Croutons. How'd you make it to Atlanta from Canada, Ontario, and why?
Okay, how did I make it? It's all been almost about 10 years now, I would say, of my venture from Toronto to Dallas. That was actually where I went first.
Oh, okay.
And
it's hot. Like from cold to hot.
You're telling me. But you see, this is the thing. Dallas is one kind of heat. Atlanta is another kind of heat.
Yeah.
And because of this whole environment stuff that's going on, it's actually getting hot there as well. So I don't think you could really escape it.
Oh, okay.
Except for the wintertime, of course.
Right.
Because we don't really have winter in Atlanta.
Mm-hmm. Not like, well, yeah, no.
Okay, coming from a northerner,
yeah.
There's not really a winter.
That's
down
not
here.
winter. I got you.
Right. So yeah, I went to Dallas and I was a part of a journalism program there. And after the program finished, I went back home, finished up school, and then one of my mentors in Dallas said, "You know what? Come on back because I guess I did a little something in that journalism program." Mm-hmm. So she saw something in me, and I went back to Dallas, worked for a little bit. Went back home, went back to Dallas, and then got a job working with a newspaper company. And actually, I guess because this is the story behind the person, just to kind of inspire some other people. Because of that journalism program that I did an interview with the publisher at this said publication. And when I went back home, he inquired about me and he asked people in Dallas, where is she? And they're like, oh, she's in Canada.
Wow. So we need her back.
Right. And he, we got the paperwork together. Won't go into immigration stuff, hot topic right now, and especially here in Georgia, but went through the paperwork and I went back to Dallas, and the headquarters was here in Atlanta. So they brought me here for a few weeks, what was supposed to be a few weeks of just monitoring what goes on at headquarters. A few weeks turned into a month, turned into a few months, turned into 5 months living in a hotel.
What?
Yes.
Living it up.
At the Holiday Inn. Thanks, shout out to Holiday Inn over by the airport. You guys treated me so well. That was like first class. Yeah. That was celebrity life.
Yeah, everybody got to know you.
Yeah,
like,
for real.
That's the lady who lives on that room.
But think about it. Couldn't really cook. Didn't have to clean. Yeah. And I was nice to them. I literally was living there. So of course I'd make my bed and everything, but every night I came back, my room was clean. So
wow.
Yeah.
That's very cool. All right. So after those months, you got they just made you permanent.
Yeah, they just said there's no point in having you just going back and forth and everything. Just stay here. And then that's when I made the transition to looking for housing, and that was interesting because going from Dallas to Atlanta, the cost of living is different. So while I had my studio and I thought I was big time in Dallas, coming here, and that was $400 a month.
Right.
What can you get for $400 a month by way of living here?
In the boonies.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
2-hour commute.
Yeah, not so much. Not for a single female at the time, just coming to this city. So, but it was adventurous. Like those are the kind of things that you look for when you're starting your young professional career.
Right.
So, it was great.
That's cool. Very cool. So now we know how you got here to ATL.
Yes.
And we'll eventually get to what you're doing in Atlanta because it's a lot. It's a lot of stuff. I see you everywhere, and
I see you everywhere.
Yes, yes, and I don't know. A long time ago, I had that mentality, anyways, of always on the hustle, doing something. And but a long time ago, somebody referred to me a book about multiple streams of income. Ooh. And I was like, wait a minute, that's perfect because you're right. Especially in those days, I was only doing tattoos.
Okay.
And so the tattoo shop would only make money in the summer. Spring and summer. Here comes the fall, the money falls off because people are spending for school.
Right.
And in winter, nobody's spending money on tattoos because they're covered up and there's Christmas and everything else.
Right.
And so, and of course I was young. I did not save summer money for winter.
Who does that?
Yeah.
Save what? What?
Right. And so then, you're finding yourself looking to do other things with your art.
Right.
And so ever since then, there's every weekend and week out is something different. I'm always working on something. There's always a project, and I'm always looking for the next project down the line because that's how it has to be.
Right.
That's my mentality. But we're here about your story, and I want you to tell us about your story, like coming up, growing up in Ontario, Canada.
Yes. And I'm going to have to be careful because I'm sitting here wanting to ask you questions because this is for everyone listening. This is very new for me because I'm normally on the producer side of things. And, and Dan even knows I was like even writing notes here saying, am I loud enough? Sound check and everything like that. So thank you.
You're welcome. So you're going to be the one answering questions this time.
That's right.
And so if you have a better question to ask than the way I ask it, please
you know what? I've been listening to your podcast with the one W and Neil Hamilton. You're on it.
Okay.
Oh, good. Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I appreciate that. So yes, growing up, what was your first inclination in the creative side, and what was it like?
You know what? You might think this is funny, or anyone listening who might know me may think this is interesting, but I never saw myself as a creative.
No.
That, as weird as that may sound, I almost want to say it was maybe 2 or 3 years ago that I realized that, I am creative. And so growing up, I was into sports, played basketball, volleyball. I worked with disabled. That's not the word we're supposed to use, right? Special needs.
Okay.
I worked with special needs kids, ADD, and all that. So that's where, if anything, you see that people person side of me. So that's what I would definitely see myself as, a connector or someone who wants to save the world, all of that type of thing. But when I was in school, I went to the University of Toronto. And in my third year, speaking of streams of revenue, great segue, I was doing an honors degree in English, major in sociology, minor English and French.
Wow.
And then for some reason, this web thing was happening. So I said, you know what? If I do my courses for school at night, so university at night, and then go to college, because one of the community colleges was doing Macromedia, that dates how far back,
yes.
because that's pre-Adobe.
Yes.
A Macromedia web development program. I could be at school and study and then make money on the side building websites.
Yes.
So that's really kind of like that entrance that I had to all of what we'll get into later on of what I do.
Okay.
Yes.
Yes, Micromedia. Those were, I think, the last software they put out was the MX, and that was in 2000, 2001.
Yes.
After that, Adobe bought it out.
Adobe bought it. So like the fireworks and all those
Dreamweaver.
things. Yep. So,
Yep. Freehand Date, things like that. Okay. So that's how you. So tell me, what were you doing in high school? What were you doing in school that eventually led to you choosing a college to further the passion that you found in yourself? What was it? What was the first passion? You like asking questions? You like you have a very curious mind. What was it?
Yeah, you know what? I like people, and that's why when I went to university, it was all about, okay, I was gonna do maybe social work, or maybe I was gonna be a teacher, or one of those kind of disciplines where I could help people. So that was really the beginning stages, and then as I mentioned to you, but then at the same time, I was involved in a lot of associations in school. So there was our form of what was like the Black Students Associations, there were like women associations, and I found myself being the person that put the events together.
Okay.
So we did like an Apollo night type of thing where, you got people with the arts performing and showing their talents and their skills, and we did a huge talent show which made a lot of money, and know that even though Toronto's big, numbers comparatively in the education system is much different than it is here. So we had like 1,000 people. I'm sure here 1,000 is like a drop in the bucket at school,
right?
But we had 1,000 people come out to that event. So that's really, I guess, if you want to say, my transition from just wanting to do good things, but then merging the events and the arts, and really, I guess, being a connector, also promoting people, like always, hey, this is someone you should talk to, or hey, this is someone the world should see. Yeah. So I feel like I'm almost on the client services side of the creative industry, if you want to say.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So you were in college, and you gonna do web design while you go to school,
right? Right.
But when you went to school, you chose all those different paths at the same time. Because what? You couldn't decide, or you wanted to do them all?
You know what? I don't know if it was so much of a couldn't decide, but back to that multi-stream, like I like to do this and I like to do that, and like let's just make it happen. And it's interesting that you asked that question, because I find now a lot of the articles you'll see in Fast Company and Forbes are talking about the fact that us as someone in the millennial space, that we can do multiple things. It's not that just stick in one discipline and live there. And I didn't realize it at the time, but I was living that life. Yeah. Then as I got older, it's like, oh no, I need to buckle down and do one thing. And now I'm back to the place, no, that's what everybody else wants to say. I need to be in one specific discipline. No, as long as I'm good at what I'm doing, then I can do those multiple things. And I just want to encourage anybody listening that if you're a great designer, but then you also have people skills, make that work for you. That could you'd be really good as an entrepreneur, because the business aspect, having that together, but then also being able to do the fulfillment.
Yes.
So.
Yep. And nowadays, I think opportunities are greater and more accessible because of technology.
Yes, most definitely.
Yeah. So I like talking, and I could write a little bit my thoughts, but it's easier if I just let it out. And so podcasting is like one of the ways. And but nowadays everybody has a smartphone and records sound.
Right.
You can edit stuff on your computer and publish to whatever services that are out there online. 20 years ago,